Okay, well, I accidentally cut off that last video, chapter 21 at the end there, very suddenly. So, sorry about that. But hi. Why, you silly little nut? You silly little nut. Go have fun and relax, and then we're gonna groom you. And I don't know how much more space we have, but I'm running out of batteries, so I'm trying to get as many of these done as I can. So here we are, back, Catalyst by Lisa Beeson. We are over halfway, by the way. Chapter 22, and let's just get going with it, because like I said, battery and everything else is, it's a thing. Do I need water? I need water. Ari heard a resonant roll of thunder and a distant voice calling her back to consciousness. Ari, wake up! The voice sounded closer, and she felt her head being cradled in someone's lap. She opened her eyes to see Joshua looking anxiously down at her. Are you okay? Should I get Azza up here? He looked intently from one of her eyes to the other. She sensed his concern for her and figured he was checking to see if she had a concussion. There was a slight relief when he realized that her pupils were the same size. It looks like you don't have a concussion, but you have a pretty nasty-looking goose egg on your forehead. Ari took a quick assessment of herself, and she realized that she had regained most of her energy while she'd been unconscious. But the skin on the left corner of her forehead felt tight as it throbbed painfully. I must have hit my head when I passed out. No, I'm fine, she assured him. She sat up, immediately regretting it when a sharp flare of pain surged through her skull. She winced and cradled her head in her hands, wanting the pain to go away so she could focus. She gingerly put her hand over the bump on her head and concentrated on taking slow, deep breaths to blow out the pain. After a couple of breaths, the throbbing subsided to a tolerable, dull ache. Cam sent me up here to look for you when you weren't answering your text from Gordon, Joshua explained, pointing to her cuff, which had 4 unread text alerts on the screen. He would have come up himself, but Gordon wanted to see him and Miles in his office. I'm supposed to tell you that Mara's here, and she wants to meet with you before dinner. Oh, geez, it's already time for dinner? How long have I been out? She looked around and realized that it seemed a lot darker than it had been. Looking up beyond the glass-paned roof. One moment. She saw that the sky had become overcast with dark, heavy clouds, pregnant with the inevitable rain that was threatening to fall at any minute. I would have never found you back here if it wasn't for the cat, Joshua said, gesturing to Nero, Enzo's black cat with the notched ear, who was sitting unobtrusively to the side. Gosh, I keep getting these scam calls. Ugh. Enzo's black cat with the notched ear, who was sitting unobtrusively to the side with an energy tether coming from his head. She knew it was actually Enzo looking through his eyes, and wondered when he had come in to find her. What happened? Joshua asked, concerned. Why were you unconscious? Just low blood sugar, I guess. Nothing to worry about, she said, not wanting to talk about what happened with Val. But she could see he didn't really buy it. Oh, crap. Val, she thought anxiously. Another call? What the heck? That makes 4 this hour of these dang scam calls. Lord have mercy. Oh, crap, Val, she thought anxiously. Taking a second, she concentrated on scanning the building for Val's energy. When she felt that Val was still in Scion's Keep, Ari sighed in relief. Oh, she hasn't left yet. There's still a chance to get her to stay. Pardon me. Putting her hands down to help herself get up, Joshua pointed to her head and gasped. Wow, he said in amazement as he stood up and gently touched her forehead where the bump had been. It's completely healed. Crap, crap, crap. She hadn't meant to do that in front of him. It must have happened as a reflex. She's been so distracted that she hadn't even realized the tightness was gone and the pain had disappeared. Healing herself was much easier than healing someone else. There was a bright flash of lightning. Ari gasped as a sudden flashback to the blast in New York overtook her senses and her heart began to race. Calm down. It's just lightning, she thought as she sat back down on the bench and looked at Joshua nervously. Please don't tell anyone about this. How long have you been able to heal yourself like that? He asked curiously as the sonorous thunder rumbled in the distance. Ari shrugged. I think I've always been able to. I just didn't know I could until recently. I knew it, he said, his eyes lit with the same intellectual fervor as his Uncle Hugo. Your cells and bioelectric energy are so adaptable. Of course. You could do anything the rest of us can, can't you? But it drains you, doesn't it? He started pacing, working it out as he mused aloud, almost as though Ari was a machine he was taking apart to figure out how it worked. Uncle Hugo told me about how you're going through some kind of cellular metamorphosis when you hit something called maturity, and once you do, limited energy won't be a problem anymore, will it? Joshua's eyes widened as he looked over at her, and Ari's chest constricted in apprehension. That power surge Miles told us about, that affected the whole southeastern coastline. And that storm before they found you, you were able to do that when you were just a little kid. Once you mature, you'll be all powerful. Ari shook her head, not wanting to think about it. Then he looked off again like something had just occurred to him. If you're able to control the outflow of your energy and give it to others, if you can amplify people's energy, he turned back to her, and he could feel his spike of fear at the realization. No. You could also take their energy into yourself until there was nothing left. You could kill someone just like that, he said with a snap of his fingers. Couldn't you? He reflexively stepped away from her, seeing her for the alien she really was. He was suddenly frightened of her. But I wouldn't, Ari shouted. I'd never do that. Please believe me, she begged. This could be the end. If he told, or if someone else figured it out, please don't be afraid of me. I'm good, she insisted, almost becoming hysterical. I'm not a monster. I'm good. Joshua forced himself to step towards her. She sensed his warring emotions, his primal fear of something different and potentially dangerous, and what he knew of Ari as a person. Mastering his fear, he sat down next to her on the bench. Hey, it's all right, he said, trying to console her. I know that you're not a monster. The realization just took me off guard. I mean, you look like a human. You bleed like a human. You talk and act like a human. And even though I knew you weren't, I never really saw you as anything but human. Finally accepting that you're not, I couldn't help my reaction. I'm sorry. He put a friendly, comforting arm around her shoulders. I know you'd never hurt anyone. You're one of the most genuinely nice people I've ever met. He gave her a slight squeeze before letting go. Ari glanced over at his friendly face and saw the truth in his eyes. The fear was gone, and there was only kindness. Please don't tell anyone about this, she said to Joshua while covertly glancing over at Nero. She hoped Enzo knew that she was pleading to him as well. I'm still trying to come to terms with all this myself, and I don't want people to think I'm in the most control I've ever been in. I just need more time to... She couldn't get the words out. The statue of her and the mountains of bones from Alvaro's vision kept flashing into her mind. She couldn't help thinking about how deliciously incredible siphoning Kale's energy had felt, and she shuddered. Joshua was right. She was capable of killing someone in the blink of an eye, and no one could stop her. I won't take. I'm in control. Hey, don't sweat it. Your secret is safe with me, he assured her. I'm glad you're on our side, he said with a wink, but he meant it wholeheartedly. And as a way to show you I'm serious, I'll tell you something that nobody else knows about, except for Hugo and Miles and the Reinholds, of course. Ari wasn't expecting that. You don't have to. He held up a hand to stop her. It's all right. I want to tell you, because maybe with your help we can actually do something about it. What? She asked, her curiosity piqued. I have an older brother. His name is Eric, and I think he was taken by Anaximander's men. No, I know he was taken by Anaximander's men. Ari didn't know what to say, so she just sat there silently. The week before his high school graduation, he didn't come home after work, he said sadly. We tried looking everywhere, asked everyone we knew, called the police, put up posters, but nothing. The only thing we had to go on was that the day before he disappeared, he told me that some weird guy had come up to him after school and asked him a bunch of strange questions, but that was it. It was like he just vanished into thin air. With almost theatrical timing, there was a bright lightning strike followed immediately by a loud clap of thunder, causing Ari's heart rate to spike again. The police gave up after only a week or so and told us that he must have gotten caught up in a bad crowd and took off, because there wasn't any sign of foul play. But I know my brother. He was never like that. Our parents died when we were little, but Uncle Hugo made a good home for us. We were happy. He looked down at his hands and clenched them into fists. I bet if Eric was white, the police would have looked harder, he said bitterly. But he was a good kid. He wasn't as advanced in school as I was, but he got good grades. He was in the Honor Society and was active in sports. He even had an academic scholarship lined up to go to Boston College. There was no reason to think that he got in with a bad crowd or wanted to run away. After 6 weeks with no sign of him, Gordon got in touch with Uncle Hugo and told him about Anaximander and convinced us to come live here for our own safety. I don't talk about Eric with anyone because I don't like to think about what's being done to him. Ari thought about Zachary Brandt and how Cam had told her that he had seen him with the suits right before he started the fire in the building they had been in for Royce's party. Cam had said that he looked different, like he was dead inside, which was a stark contrast to the angry, shifty-eyed kid that had attacked them in Chicago. What had they done to him? Did they brainwash all the progenies they kidnapped so they'd work for them? I hope you don't mind me asking, but what's Eric's ability? If he concentrated, he could see images in his mind of the last couple people to touch a metal object, like coins and stuff like that. Ari's skin broke out in goosebumps as her mind flashed back to the buffalo nickel she had given Walter, the street performer back in Savannah. He had been the first progeny she had ever ever amped. The next time she saw that nickel was in the possession of Briggs, the suit who had posed as a substitute teacher and tried to kidnap her. She thought back to the way Briggs had first looked at her, like she fit some kind of description, but she had never seen him before. Had they taken the nickel from Walter and used Eric's ability to find her? That means they're either forcing Eric to help them against his will, or they've brainwashed him like they had Zachary. Either possibility was unacceptable. I'll help you in any way I can, Joshua, Ari told him. We'll get Eric back, I promise. Thanks, Ari, he said with a grateful smile. Before we started working on your prosthetic, Miles and I were searching for anything on Anaximander that would help us find where they had Eric. We didn't get very far, but Miles was able to find the name of one of Anaximander's shell companies, called Noman Industries. Huh, Ari mumbled to herself. The gnomon is part of the sundial that casts the shadow, and the real Anaximander was said to have been the one to introduce the Babylonian instrument to the Greeks, she explained. Yeah, Joshua said. But you know what's crazy? Miles found out that 2 of the 4 places attacked by those unknown terrorists lead back to none other than Gnomon Industries. Seriously? Yeah. Miles thinks that the other places might have been under control of Anaximander as well. So the terrorists, whoever they are most likely on our side. Well, it's good to know we're not alone, Ari said, wondering who the terrorists could possibly be. Maybe more progenies? Just then, Ari's cuff pinged, and she looked down to see the 5th text from Gordon, asking her to come to his office. Standing up, Joshua said with a smirk, Better get down there before they send out the hounds. Yeah, I guess you're right. Ari sighed. She was still a little shaky, but she didn't pass out when she stood up this time, which was good. To be on the safe side, she grabbed whatever she could find from the food-bearing plants on their way out of the greenhouse. Nero stealthily followed after them, opening the door. Ari and Joshua braced against the rising wind, and they made their way to the elevator, while Nero headed back towards Enzo in the dome. Thankfully, the elevator opened as soon as they pushed the button, and they got in just as the dark, ominous sky rumbled and fat drops of rain began to fall. Val was pacing in her room, trying to keep it together while waiting for Liam to finally answer one of her calls. He hadn't been answering any of her texts all afternoon. She already had everything ready for her escape, and she couldn't wait any longer. It was taking everything she had not to let the rage take over. How could I have been so stupid? How could I ever think someone like Ari could ever love me? God, why does it hurt so much? Come on, Liam, pick up. Val? Liam! Hey, I need you to come get me earlier than planned. I can't wait until tonight. I gotta get out of here now. Sure, he said hesitantly. What's up? Are you okay? I'm fine. I just need to get out of this place. How soon can you get here? Shoot. I guess I can get there in about an hour. I got some stuff I need to take care of first. That wasn't as soon as she had hoped, but it was better than waiting until everyone was asleep. The place would crumble to the ground if she had to wait that long. Okay, that's fine. Just text me when you're outside the back gates. Will do, baby girl. There's some people I want you to meet. They're gonna get us into a mad party with all kinds of free goodies. Cool, whatever. See you then. Later. Val sat down on her bed with a sigh of relief. Liam was coming, and a crazy party full of strangers might be just what she needed to lose herself and not have to think or feel anymore. I wish you could see yourself how I see you. You're worth loving. Shut up! Val screamed at the haunting voice in her head as she picked up her guitar from the bed and launched it across the room. It smashed into pieces with a satisfying crunch against the wall, but when she realized what she had done, she fell to the floor and sobbed. And that was the end of chapter 22. We made it through 22 with Battery in Space. I don't know how many more I'll be able to do, but we're going to go ahead and try chapter 23 in the next video. We're probably about to run out of space. I imagine we're about to run out of space any second now. But we'll try it. Thank you for joining us for chapter 22. Peace.